Okay, welcome. Episode 10. Starting a business with little to no money. Um, I asked a question on Instagram if people would see value in me taking the time to do this. And I got a lot of feedback saying yes. So here we go. Listen to the whole thing if you actually are serious, even though I'm probably about to hurt your feelings in the first few minutes. So just because I'm going to be honest. Now, like I look at a lot of times, I want to start this off by prefacing the fact that most people that want to start a business, they're in love with the idea of starting a business. They're in love with the concept. They're in love with the dream that this beautiful image that's been painted, that what your life can be if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, the freedom that comes with it, the financial stability, all that other stuff. And to be honest with you, a lot of being an entrepreneur is very painful. A lot of struggle, a lot of frustration, and that's why very little amount of the population today is an entrepreneur, is a business owner, because they've made it super easy to and convenient to live your life in the job world and just get along and just get by. And to be an entrepreneur today, they actually, it's a lot easier in some aspects than it used to be, but it's also a lot more difficult in some aspects as well. And so not a lot of people are willing to go through that. Not a lot of people are willing to go through the suck, right? And if you listen to a bunch of successful people, there's a lot of successful people that do podcasts. One of my I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of audio stuff, just not content that's podcast per se. But one guy who I do listen to is Andy Frisella, and you look at when he talks about his early. And I'll tell you something. My goal is to actually get him on my podcast one day when I get consistent enough. But my real goal is to um, get on his podcast. That's my real goal. And I know that a lot of accomplishments need to happen. A lot of, I got a lot of stuff I need to do to really be accepted into that. Those are big shoes to fit. And I know that. So anyway, a lot of people love this concept of business ownership. But they like Andy Frisella talks about, like, the early stages. It's not all glamorous, right? Like, most people don't see what it takes to grow it in early stages. Most people don't see the struggle. It's kind of like when you're building a house or a skyscraper, for example. They'll spend years on the foundation of a skyscraper, building that foundation to make sure it's stable. And then it starts going up at rapid speed. Some skyscrapers are doing 2 floors a day kind of thing. Maybe not that. I don't remember. I've never built a skyscraper, but it's a lot quicker than doing the foundation. The foundation is the part that takes the time. Just like champions are only celebrated when you think about boxers or UFC fighters. They're only celebrated in the ring. They're not that no one sees what goes on behind closed doors. No one sees the 7 days a week training, the discipline, the commitment, the diet, the mental training, the mindset. No one sees all that. And that's the reality. And that's the same concept here. So I know, like, a lot of people, everyone's like, oh, that would be awesome. That'd be wonderful. But just be real, 90%, at least 90%, if not more, of people, you right now, you that is listening to this, that maybe you're watching the actual video, like, you're not going to do what it takes, and you're not willing to. And that's okay. And that's fine. Like, no one says you have to, right? You can, but, like, you can't talk about the fact that you want to live a certain way, you want to create a certain result, and then not be willing to do it. Where you can't be one of these people um, around all your weak ass friends who never accomplished anything in their life, talking about all these big things you want to do, but the minute you get around someone who stretches you to actually go and accomplish and grow and do those things, you cower like a little bitch. You can't be that person. You can't be the cat at the door that wants in the door, and you go to open the door and the cat, just kidding, and the cat runs off. And unfortunately, and I know for a fact, the majority of people, um, that's the reality. You love to post positive quotes on Instagram or Facebook and all these other things, and but you're not, and I'm not, this is not me trying to beat people down. I just like, I'm not saying you have to stay that way if that's been you in the past. I'm not saying, well, that's just the way you are. You can't change. You can change. That's the beautiful thing. Like anyone listening to this, if you're like, yeah, I kind of have a history of doing exactly what he's saying. Well, guess what? Today you get to change if you want to, or you don't, and you don't have to. And that's all I'm trying to say is that what I'm about to talk about here is actually super easy to do, but it's also super easy not to do. And they've made it difficult because life has become so convenient. So, and the one thing that frustrates me about people is, and I know this because I've talked to a lot of people over the years. So many people will say things like, oh, I want to create that life, or I want to do that for my family, or I want to, create success so I can give back to this, or this. And then if it doesn't, they don't even know what they're looking for. They think it's going to, in their brain, when they say that, it's like being a business owner is like winning the lottery. They feel like, oh, I'm just going to become a millionaire. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to do all these things. But it doesn't work that way. And the minute you're presented with the work it takes to create the results, it's just not for me. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not, it doesn't really interest me. Or, and then you start to convince yourself that you have multiple other ways. Well, I got this other opportunity over here, and me and my friend are going to start a business over here. And no, you aren't. You aren't going to do shit. Like you're not. Like the reality is, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I know tons of people over my life that, and that frustrating thing for me is those people that do that when they're 50, 60, 70 years old, they sit there talking shit like, oh, I could have just done so great. I just never got the opportunity. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You got the opportunity, but it was dressed in coveralls and it looked like work. So you were afraid of it. So just be very clear before I jump into this. I've spent 7 minutes now rambling on about how incompetent you are. I don't know. Most people probably aren't even listening or watching anymore. But I mean, I speak to myself too. Like I'm a procrastinator by nature. I'm a natural procrastinator. It's I have to force myself in a lot of areas. It's something that I am conscious of. I work on. I acknowledge my weaknesses. We all have strengths and weaknesses. That's one of mine. I get distracted easily. That's generally a quality of men. Squirrel, right? Shiny object. Just on to the next thing. And that's why for me, when I've invested in people, I'm always very hesitant about investing in, especially, no offense, men, young, single, actually, I don't care if I offend you. So offense, men, young, single men, 18, 19, 20, early 20s. I have a lot of struggle in giving them my time because I know that I'll give them time for free, right? Like I've never charged for my time. And they will take it, they'll get excited, and they get excited about some bullshit YouTube video or ad they saw on Instagram, and they're going to be a millionaire, and they get distracted over there, and it's like, hey, well, I just I invested 30, 40, 100, 600, 1,800 hours into this person, and they're gone. They got lured away by stupidity, and then they go and they find out that wasn't what they thought it was, and they're too embarrassed to, they're not a real man enough to come back and say, hey, I got a little excited there. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Sorry about that. Is there any way that, you would, take some time and invest in me? And my answer would probably be absolutely not, but I'd have more respect for them for being a man and owning it. Whereas women are very different. They dig in, right? And there's no surprise to me that my followers on Instagram are, a little over 3-1 women to men. And I've said this before, it's not because I'm funny and good looking. I hope not. If that's the case, raise your standards. But just insulting my wife. Hey, right now I'm just like, sorry. Anyways, it's because women are actually looking for change, and a lot of them are full of shit too, right? Everyone's equally full of shit, and some of them are for real and they want to make change, but women are more willing to dig in, right? And so a lot of times when my wife and I, if we ever invest in a couple and help them kind of like getting some stuff started, we really like spending our time with couples because women will keep men grounded. They will keep focused. And in our household, we believe that the men are the head of the household. That's our belief. You can disagree. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not right. You're not right. I don't care. That's just what we believe. But we also know that the woman is the neck, right? And guess what the neck does? And for those of you who are watching this, not looking at it, you can see the neck turns the head whatever direction it wants, right? So, they have that ability to lead the leader, right? We all know that because women are very much more, in general, not always, grounded and rooted. So after about 10 and a half minutes of me breaking this down, I hope you're ready to hear this, for me to talk about. I'll share some of my story, me and my wife's story, and what that looked like, and I'll share some concepts with you. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, I will share things with you that for fact, if you apply them, fact, you will create the success. You are on the verge of creating the success. You will start in the direction. You will see it inside of a few years. Fact. Like, just not, you can't even argue with me. It's reality. Like, it's not, well, can I can't, it's will or won't. It's will you actually take the time to apply yourself and create results? There's so many ways to make money in today's world with the power of the internet. And like I said, I'm a traditional business owner. For those of you who maybe found this episode and don't know who I am, don't follow me on Instagram. I'm a traditional business owner who owns a brick and mortar business that operates all across Canada. Give or take 8 figures, just over 8 figures in revenue. It's decent amount of employees, whatever. And then my wife and I develop some stuff online and do some e-commerce stuff too. And my heart lies with the e-commerce because it gives me my freedom. My traditional business, my brick and mortar, makes me look like I'm 55 and I'm 39, right? So, I mean, yeah. Anyways, so let's jump into this. The first step to starting a business in any kind, whether it be like super small business, independently, like online with zero startup, having a financial budget. Most people in this world are either underemployed or living outside their means, one of the two. So it's very rare that you can start a business where just quit your job unless you have a couple of years worth of money in the bank that you can live off of. You're going to have to start a business in your spare time while you work a job. So now, if you're underemployed or you're living outside your means, forget it. Don't even try to start a business. You're screwed, because you'll constantly steal from your business. You'll be constantly robbing money out of your business and reinvesting it into your personal life because your personal finances are a mess. So you need to do an actual budget, figure it out, be an adult, do a budget, figure out where you stand. If you need help, like with math, find a friend that's good at math. But do a budget, what goes in, what goes out. Don't guess. Don't be like, I think I spend this much. Get your bank statements for at least the last 60 days, your credit card statements, wherever you spend your money, all the areas. Go figure out, how much do I spend in eating out? How much do I spend at the grocery store? How much do I spend on utilities, my cell phone, my car insurance, my gas, my rent, my food for my groceries, my gym membership, literally write it all out. What do I have going on? Separate it into fixed costs, variable costs. What are fixed? What are guaranteed? Undeniable, this is going to happen. My rent or my mortgage, my car payment, if you're financing a car, my gym membership, my personal trainer, like things that happen exact amounts every time. That's your fixed costs. They're happening no matter what. Your variable costs are your eating out, your entertainment, your grocery budget, things like that. Those are variable. They fluctuate, right? So then you categorize them. Then you find out, how much money do I have going out and how much money do I have coming in every month? Right? After taxes, net income. What do I have coming in? What do I have going out? And then you evaluate, am I going backwards every month? If your net income is greater than your fixed and variable expenses combined, you're fine, right? I would like to hope at that point you have a savings. And also what's variable is usually your minimum payments on your credit cards or lines of credit. They're 3%. If you didn't know this, 3% of your balance is your payment on a credit card or a line of credit. Unless you're making interest only payments on the line of credit, it won't be 3%. And at that point, your payments are going to be whatever the interest is. And that means you're not paying down any principal. You're only paying to interest. Okay. So figure those things out. Now that will stop a lot of you dead in your tracks, because the reality is most Canadians, and I'm talking to Canadians, I'm a Canadian, and most Americans, if you're an American, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but most of you guys are going backwards every month or just breaking even. You need to fix that. So generally you're going to have to cut spending, and a lot of times it's going to be on leisure or eating out. So Netflix and all this other stuff and Spotify and all these stupid things you have. Reduce your cell phone plan. Find out if you can get better insurance on your car. Stop eating out. When you find out, like, I'm pretty sure I spend only about $200 a month eating out, and you check your bank statement, you're like, holy shit, how the hell do I spend $800 every month eating out? You'll be shocked. Most of you will be like, I never knew it was that much money. Start there. Figure out your personal finances. Simple. Like, don't even do anything else until you do that. I'll lose most of you right there. Most of you will never get to business world because you won't figure out your personal finances. I want to run a business. I want to be a millionaire. I'm going to run this big fancy I won't sit down and figure out my personal finances. Okay, guys, like, go to clown world. Okay. Go be one of those people that is hoping to win the lottery, because you have to be able to figure that out if you want to figure out business. Okay. Does that make sense to you? So get that stuff on track. Second, your time budget. Outside of your financial budget, you have to make sure your finances on track. Now your time, you have to take control of your time. Do you control your life, or does your life control you? Simple. Most of you, your life controls you. It tells you where to go, when to go, and how to get there. And you're flying by the seat of your pants. You have no idea how to prioritize events and things that have to be done. Most of you guys book like all kinds of appointments and stuff during the day, during the week when you have your job, and then you call in and you're like, I can't come in today. I'm getting my fridge delivered. Okay. Well, they deliver fridges in the evening when you're not working, and they deliver fridges like on the weekend when you're not working. Or I guarantee you they do that during time. Most of you can't wrap your head around that concept. You're so entitled in the world that you just like, whenever it happens, it happens. You have no control over your time. You have no control over your life. You're literally flying through life like, my business partner in my traditional business calls everyone bumper cars. You're literally dunk, dunk, you're bouncing off the walls. Whatever happens, dunk, bouncing off each other. I mean, and he's right. Like, the reality is most people are bumper cars. And so you have no control over your time. You have no idea how to run your schedule. You have no idea. People will run you. My friend told me that they're having this birthday party for their other friend, and they don't know very many people there. And so they asked me to come, and I have to be there because they're my friend. Okay, so what? Like, so your friend has issues, anxiety issues, and inability to, be around new people and make friends. So now it has to affect your life, because if it doesn't, you're a bad friend. So you might as well sacrifice your future and your family's future and creating something for yourself and taking that time investing in yourself, because you have to waste it on stupidity, right? Like, that's a common situation. Oh, but the premiere of Yellowstone is coming out that night, so I have to be watching that. Like, you guys are fucked. Like, seriously, like, your priorities. Everybody loves to say they're busy. And I've said this before on things. People spell busy wrong. It's Lazzy in your guys' world. You're fucking lazy. You have to prioritize all the fucking dumbest shit on the planet. And you act like you're big, but just because it's not important to you doesn't mean you could judge me for it being important to me. I can judge you. I can, if you're going to sit there and talk about the fact that you want to create success in your life. You want to put up all these fucking quotes on social media, acting like you're going to be something someday, but you're not willing to do the work. Fucking rights I will, because you slap people like me in the face every single day who actually are willing to go out and do the fucking work. You slap me in the face when you won't. So yeah, fuck you. I will tell you that you're not getting your priorities straight. No, you can't live this life going to birthday parties, going to the bar, catching all the newest Netflix series and Amazon Prime series, going skiing and going on holidays. And you can't have those things and create success. Pick one. Pick one. Do you want the world to see your highlight reel on social media, or do you want to create your own fucking highlight reel? Pick one. You don't get both. Like, I'm sorry. You see these people that are out there, and there are successful people that are showing their highlight reel, but what you didn't see, just like I said earlier, champions are recognized in the ring, but what you didn't see was them just killing themselves every day for months and years on end to be that person. And so when you see these people, that's why social media is so dangerous. First off, most people that are showing their highlight reels, their life fucking sucks. And they only show you the great times. But those that are constantly posting the great times, that legitimately have created success, legitimately have an incredible lifestyle that you could only hope to live one day, you have no idea what it took to get that. And like I said in the early stages, if you're not willing to go through it, then shut up. Shut up. Stop saying you want this. Oh, I would do anything to live that life. I would do anything to have that kind of success. I would do anything to be able to travel like that. No, you wouldn't. And there's a funny story about it. I probably said it on an episode somewhere. I love it. I don't know who the golfer was. I don't even know if it's a true story. I'm pretty sure it is. But there was a golfer at a golf course, and he was just chipping it shots off the green. He's 10 feet off the green or whatever, and he was chipping shots on the green, and he was draining 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 right in the hole. And just the rest of them were like, within a couple feet of the hole. And some guy was watching him, and he comes up to him and says, this guy was like pro golfer, right? Obviously, the guy says to him, man, I would do anything to be able to shoot like you. And the guy says, no offense, man, but no, you wouldn't. He's like, because if you would, you'd shoot like me. He's like, if you would do anything, you would sit there in the rain, in the hot, blistering sun. Wouldn't matter. Rain, sun, shining. You're hitting that ball hours on end, blisters on your hand. You continue to do that shot. You continue to do that shot. Then you go find a different green, and you do it on a different green with a different terrain, right? Where the hill or whatever. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. And he says, so if you wanted it, you would do it. You want the shot, but you're unwilling to do what it takes. And John C. Maxwell says that a lot of time. Most people want the lifestyle, but they're unwilling to do what they did to get it. And so I get very, very irritated with people that say they want a result, but are unwilling to do the work, which is almost everybody. And that's why a lot of times when people reach out to me, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I'll invest time and everything else. And if you talk to some of the people that we've invested time in, my wife and I, and they went another direction. I don't think they're bad people. I don't dislike them. I still talk to every single one of them. They're just fine people. Like, they're nice, but like, I just know that they're not willing to do the work. And if you ask them, they'd be like, well, I'm not going to do it how they did it. I'm going to figure out my own way. No, you're not. You're not. It's the same brain that you have that got you in the situation you're in. Your brain's not going to get you out. And all you're going to do is potentially you're going to fall for scams all the time, spend money on stupid things, buy courses, keep trying to figure it out on your own when you get motivated to go online and try to read something, move on to the next thing when you get bored and distracted, and you'll never create anything. And then, like I said earlier, you'll be 50, 60, 70 years old talking about how, oh, you just never got the opportunity. Yes, you did. Right? Because so many people, I always ask people, are you guys interested in creating the results? Or are you interested how you create the results? If you need to be defined by what you do, and you're like, oh, I need to own nightclubs, or I need to own a gym. I need to be cool. I need to be successful. I need to have a fancy title. I always laugh at these people who are the CEO when they put that in there, or president of their company. And they're like, okay, so like how many employees is your company have? Well, it's just me. Oh, okay. And like, so I'm assuming your revenue and your gross profits and your net profits are like not all that great either. What are you talking about? It's like, but you're the CEO. Like, everyone wants to be a business owner because they want a title. Everyone wants a title. Like, in my traditional business, my business cards don't have anything on them. They don't say owner. They don't say fucking boss. They don't say motherfucking CEO, right? They just say, here's my name, here's my number. Like, most times, a lot of people wouldn't even know I own the company because I just don't care. I didn't do that to have a title and sound cool. So I think that a lot of times people are chasing this result. And if that's what you want, by all means, like, chase the fancy title. And I doubt you'll ever get it. I mean, I don't wish that you don't. I know, like, I've been around, and a lot of successful people, much more successful than I am, would tell you the same thing. And so coming back to your time budget, what I was saying was was if you're just looking at creative results, someone's like, well, like people are like, you have to do something you're passionate about. Wrong. Again, big time wrong. Like, yeah, okay, go pursue your passion, see how it works out. 80% of the time you'll end up hating your passion, because when you do what you love for money, you end up hating it. Why don't you just find a way that creates money in an ongoing fashion, that creates the success you want, so that you no longer have to trade your time for money, and then you can go do what you want to be passionate about for free. You're like, but I just want to help people. I want to be a doctor. I want to help people. Cool. Imagine if you were so financially successful and so time successful that you had such an abundance of money coming in nonstop that you didn't need to go trade your time for money anymore. And you could go take the skill that you have as a doctor and go wherever you chose to go in the world to help people that were less fortunate, that couldn't get the medical care, and you could do it for free because you were a multimillionaire. What if you did that? But it sounds too good to be true, Brandon. No, it sounds like a lot of work and you're just not willing to do it. So the time budget thing is that you have to be willing to control your time. You have to be willing to focus. You do your job, you work your 40, 50, 60 hours a week in your job, you create your income. And then instead of coming home, like, I'm so tired, I just want to sit down and watch. And trust me, I'm a procrastinator. This is my struggle to this day. To this day, I struggle with this. I struggle with the fact that I just want to be lazy, or I want to get caught up in my hobbies, things I like to do, and I get distracted with them. This is a natural struggle for people. No one's saying you have to be perfect at this. I'm far from it. So, but you have to spend your time investing in yourself, in growing whatever it is you're attempting to grow. Learn new stuff. Information is power. Being willing to read and apply. Well, actually, sorry, information isn't power. Applied information is power. So you learn the information, then you put it into application, and now you get a result. If you just fill your brain full of information, you're just fat-headed, not in like a negative way, but you're just full of information. You're a plethora of information. You can just spit out facts, but you've never done anything. You're just based on theory, right? And that won't do anything either. So you actually have to apply yourself. And I know this is a struggle for people who have kids, right? If you're a couple and you both work full-time jobs and you have 2 or 3 kids, or 1 kid or 10 kids, I don't know, like a lot of times you have to invest in your children. They have sports they go to, after school stuff and things you have to, and that's very important. Sounds like you're going to be tired, because you're going to have to find time after they go to bed, if that's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. Like, you're going to have to spend some time investing in yourself, maybe until 1 a.m. Like, if their kids go to bed at 11 o'clock, you're just going nonstop. And, you spend 2 hours applying yourself in certain ways to create success, spending that free time. And then you go to bed at 1 a.m. and maybe you're up at 6 a.m. and do it all over again. Well, there you go. I mean, welcome to reality. Or just keep living the life you're going to live and just complain all the time, right? Everyone's journey is going to look different. And that's why if you can actually do this at a young age, before you have those things in your life, you have such an advantage compared to everybody else. You have this ability to if you have nothing but time and you're just using it, like going to the bar and partying and going on vacations and watching TV and everything. Wow. Like I just talked to one of our staff members in my business, young guy, 22 years old. And I'll be honest with you, the guy came over. He's used to making peanuts at his old job. And he's going to make almost this month what he used to make in a year. I think he actually is going to make in a year what he made this month. And that's crazy. And we were just chatting with him, me and my business partner, talking about, 22 years old. And I said to him, like, listen, like, be smart with your money at your age. I had someone try to tell me that when I was your age and I started making big time money, and I didn't listen. I blew it all. And if I could go back and even have 20% of the money, I would have done great things. And so, as a young person like him, I told him, you can be a multi-millionaire by the time you're 30 years old if you're a smart guy and you apply yourself. I'm like, or you can be broke. And you can make millions of dollars between now and then and be broke, right? That's not about how much money you make. And that goes back to the original financial budget point. If you don't control your money, if you can't have a budget when you make 50 grand a year and your finances are a mess, and you believe that, well, if I could just make 200 grand a year, I'd be fine. No, you wouldn't. You're same broke finance, your same broke spending methods and behaviors that you do at 50 grand will apply themselves at 200. It will just be worse. And you can actually get into more debt at 200 than you can when you make 50. So understand these things. I'm not just going over these for fun. I'm going over them because I know what damage these things can do if you haven't controlled your financial budget and you don't control your time budget. Now, but talk about people skills, spending time and in investing and developing relationships. You know the term, sorry, I had to read that because I forgot. You know the term, I made points forms here so I didn't forget things because I didn't want to have to re-record this whole video when I missed something that I wanted to talk about. You know that term networking? You know, everyone loves to say it, or it sounds weird, or people don't know what it means. Like, networking is huge, like as a person. And I know that a lot of times people anyone really under 30, and the closer you get to 20, it gets worse and worse in general. Not always, depends on their upbringing, but people lack people skills. It's hilarious. And a lot of times people think, well, homeschool kids, aren't you worried that your kid's not going to have that interaction? Man, my kid's turning 9 this year in a couple months. She can run circles around. When she was 6, she could run circles around most 11 and 12-year-olds when it comes to intelligent conversation and human interaction, because we taught her to develop people skills. And she was socialized with a lot of kids with similar beliefs in other ways, right? We taught her to develop people skills, and people skills is like a dying thing. Like, we don't have it anymore. And people need to be more willing to network and invest in relationships, because a lot of times people think, well, to be successful in business, you have to get a handout, or you have to, have a rich family member, a friend, and someone, they're going to, give you this opportunity. And, or you get to make your own luck, right? Or you get to just, be a networker. A lot of us know at least one person that's like that I know a guy, right? They know someone that does everything, and you should want to be that person. And I would say I'm probably like a 7 when it comes to networking. I think your average person is probably like a 3 or 4. And I think a lot of people are like a 1 nowadays. But there are some serious 8, 9, and 10 people out there that are incredible networkers. They're just the people of all people. My business partner, my traditional business is probably, an 8 or better. He's really good at it, networking with people. And so, yeah, like you have to invest in yourself. This is such an important skill to being successful in business, because it opens opportunities up to you. And what people don't understand is that business opportunities, whether you already have a traditional business or not, a lot of small businesses that grew into large businesses got their break because they networked with somebody, and they built a relationship. And then that person had an opportunity to open a door for that company to kind of like come in and get a contract with their company. And that was the breaking point for that company to just explode. And that company went from just this tiny little 4-person company to, 3, 4, 5 years later to having 300 employees. And it's just a monster of a company on its way to thousands of employees, all because they connected with someone, built a relationship, and a door got open because that person liked them. People want to help and give business to those people that like other people. Just like me, I want to connect with other people and do business with other people I like. And so do you. So it's so funny how people don't, and I'm an extroverted introvert. I know a lot of people think I'm a full-blown extrovert, but if you find me in a room of people that I don't know any of them, you'll see me avoiding people. Like, that's my natural tendency. And then if I'm in a high energy environment, even if it's people I know, at some point I have a breaking point. I'm like, I need to go. Like, I need to go and be alone. I need some quiet because I need to rejuvenate. So I'm an introvert. Deep down, that's who I am. But as an extrovert, the extroverted side of me, if I'm in an environment with people I know, I can very much so be the life of the party, right? I can be that guy who's out there doing that, making, new connections and stuff like that. So I have to work on building those relationships and networking when I'm in environments where I don't know a lot of people. That's a struggle for me too, right? We all have our struggles. So don't make excuses as to, well, but you don't understand, Brandon. I'm shy. Shy is not even a real thing. Shy is something your parents told you. We don't use that word in our house. And my daughter doesn't, she knows that's not a real word. There's no such thing as being shy. It's, it's will or won't, not can or can't. And so you have to break that at some point as an adult. You can't let your excuses be or your fears be the reason you can't go and create the life you want. At some point you have to overcome your fears. It's simple. Or again, back to the shut the hell up and accept your reality. Just be a normal everyday person then. Fine. You might be sitting here saying, Brandon, when are you going to get to the point? When are you going to get to the point of starting a business without any money? Well, this shit is the most important part. And if you don't get that, then just fucking shut up and stop telling people you want to live this life. Like, it's simple. Like, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a person that's created success that if they listen to this right now, we're at 35 minutes in, that they would be like, nah, none of this stuff's important. They'd be like, yeah, no, like all that stuff is very important. Like that is the foundation. Remember, we talked about building a foundation. This is the foundation of building a successful company. Anyone can go start a company. I started a company. I went and registered it. I had this money. I got this lease on this building. I did this and I was out of business 6 months later because you did none of these things first. Or maybe you did some of them, but not all of them. So yeah, like that stuff, I'm going to get to that. This stuff is so important though. This is going to be a longer episode than I thought. We might walk up to an hour here. So people skills, developing that networking. I'm going to tell you why, like give you an example of why this stuff is super important. Well, one, I'll give you two examples. Both of my businesses came through networking and meeting people that I didn't know, and opportunity was given to us. You know, my traditional business, me and my business partner bought it for $1. It was basically non-existent. It had some licenses in place in an industry that we didn't want to go through the trouble of getting those licenses. So they were already in place. So we basically bought those for $1. And we inherited a shitty lease on a shitty building that we had, I think, 2 years left on, which created some problems for us, but we made it work. And we built that company from nothing. It was for all intents and purposes, the company didn't exist. It had the licensing, it had this shitty little lease, and it didn't really exist. And what we did, me and my business partners, I worked a job while he was there. And then after my job, while I was working, like when I had time, I would, cause I come out of a commission world, like I have a sales background, if you can't tell. So I'm a talker. So you have time in sales to do other things. But what we did is like he was there focusing full time, and he was sending me referral business, and I was running those deals through my job, paying him large referral fees so he could provide for his family. I was doing my sales so I could provide for my family, and then he was doing, I would say 80% of the work there, and I was doing 20%, you know, either after hours or in between my sales business. And we did that for the first, I think it was like 3.5 weeks, and we got moving quick. We were hustling. And so we were able to get off the ground right away and start producing some income for ourselves so that we could actually provide for our families. And so I stopped doing that job and everything else, and we focused full time on the business. But that was what we had to do, right? And most people are unwilling to do that. I'm not saying pat me on the back, I'm a fucking superstar. I'm just telling you that was our story. And that wasn't even a big time sacrifice. That was like amateur hour compared to what a lot of people sacrifice. But the reality is that we went many months without being able to pay ourselves at all. But like, you have to understand, we were trying to get the company up, sustaining itself so that we could pay the lease, pay our insurance, pay our utilities, pay our everything. We had tons of stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but we had to at least get the business to do that. So we didn't take money from our own personal lives to try to put it, because we really didn't have any at the time for that either. And that was our sacrifice. But all that came through a relationship that my business partner had with the guy over the years. And because he always was super good at connecting, he just happened to reconnect with this guy. And this guy said, hey man, I got this opportunity. Are you interested? And he bounced off me and said, hey, you want to come in on this with me? And that's how it was created. And we took that company, and our first year of business, like I think on paper, that company did like, I don't know, 200 grand in like revenue. And I think our first year in business, we took it on basically the first fiscal year, like right at the end of the fiscal year, we did 2.8 million, I think, our first year. We literally grew it from nothing. We tenfolded it. And And that was just through hard work and effort. And all of that came through relationship, networking, building relationships and getting opportunity and seizing it and being willing to take a risk and not be afraid of like, well, what if I fail? And a good friend of mine, she has this on my actually our best friends, my wife and I's best friends are super best friends, godparents to our daughter, best man at my wedding. The other couple I met through networking that have changed their whole life. They have it on their wall in their house. It says, well, what if I fail? Or what if I fall? It's like, oh baby, but what if you fly? Right. And so many people, there's like this, oh, what if I fail? Great. Like fucking get used to it. Like the greatest thing I ever did in life was fail. Actually, no, the second greatest thing I ever did was fail. The greatest thing I ever did was never quit when I failed. Just get up and find a different way of doing it. Because you have to fail to get the result you want. You have to be willing to go through that. And so understand that that's going to come. Like, well, what if? Well, what if? Well, what if? Okay, then play it safe for the rest of your life. If you're afraid of that, then again, then shut the fuck up and stop saying you want to create the results you want. Because like at some point, something's got to give. You either want the results or you want to be safe. You can't have both. And I understand it's easier said than done. And that's why I think like having mentorship and guidance in business, having someone you can turn to that has gone before you down the path to create success, is such an important thing. But in that business, in our traditional business, you understand, I've just told you how we started a business, a brick and mortar business with a, I think the space we were in was a little over 3,000 square feet of space. Like we had utilities, all this. We started a brick and mortar business. Boom. It was zero with $1. So you can do it. And you're like, well, Brandon, that was your start. Like not everyone gets that opportunity. Back to networking. I go back to networking. And you're right. Not everyone gets that opportunity. And let me tell you something. You probably don't want to go through what I went through. You don't want to go through the suck of that traditional business. Like even in my traditional business now, like there's legal stuff constantly. There's all kinds of drama, lawsuits, this, that, like it's crazy. It's, I had to flip my phone over doing this. I got 2 calls and normally I answer my phone right away. But right now I'm doing this. I got 2 calls from guys at my office right now. Obviously something important's going on, but they can wait. And it's, it's 5:30 right now. I'm recording this and it not stop. My tradition's been nonstop. My phone's nonstop. Again, I look like I'm 55. I'm 39. What does that tell you? So there are better ways, which is why, like I told you, the e-commerce side of things, my wife and I met my friend today, total stranger at one point, met him a little over 12 years ago. And I'm not going to share the whole story on here, but completely turned my life upside down. Challenged me in ways I never thought I could be challenged. And again, you might be like, oh, see, but you were lucky enough to meet people like this. No luck involved. People that say you're lucky are so insulting because, you probably met, there's a good chance a lot of you have met someone or you will meet somebody like when I met my buddy, who was a stranger, like I said, but I wasn't afraid of the fact that it was dressed in coveralls and looked like work. I wasn't scared when, my wife and I, we were only dating at the time. We weren't scared when we sat with them and they told us like how hard of a struggle it is to create the life they've created. They shared with us like the results they had created and the goals that they were working to create. And keep in mind, this is 12 years ago. We've watched the amount of success they have created in their life. And I'm not just talking about financially. I'm talking about holistically. I'm talking about freedom. I'm talking about the last 3 years, everything that went on in the world literally didn't affect them. I would say compared to everyone else, it affected them like 1/20th what it affected most. It still affected them, but not like it did the rest of us. Like I'm talking freedom in so many different ways that I'm not going to get on in a public forum like this. I'm always willing to have conversations with people in a private setting once I get to know them. But that's the most important thing for me. I will give my time to anyone and I don't charge anyone. I've had people, I'll pay. I'm like, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'll chat with you. Like Like, sure, but I'm not promising you anything, just like I'm not expecting anything from you. I'll have a conversation with you. And if I align with people on like, I can tell I'm a good judge of character. So if I can tell I align with somebody, then I'll spend some time kind of like letting them into my life a little more and sharing some stuff, but I'm not going to do it on this forum. But, the life they live, the freedom, their marriage, and how much time they've invested in that to have a healthy marriage in a society where they're trying to destroy the family unit and marriage, and their kids, they're 4 and they have one more on the way. They're the same age as us. And so just like their kids, like in the how much time they spend investing in their kids, and how they're with them all the time. They don't have to go and trade time for money. They don't have to get phone calls and emails nonstop and text messages and this is happening and this is happening and all of a sudden this bill happened. Oh, we got frauded here for $26,000, which happened to me this year, and like if I told you the expenses that go involved in a traditional business and the things you don't account for and theft and fraud and all those other things, it'll blow your brains. Like it'll blow your mind, not blow your brains, blow your mind. But yeah, like for us, like that's why we've invested so much in starting to shift into the e-commerce world, is because it's going to give us our freedom back. And I don't know if you know this, but starting e-commerce businesses really don't cost a lot of money. And I know there's so many different ways that you can start businesses today. So many people, like, I'm going to tell you, Warren Buffett's famous for saying this. Maybe you don't know that, but he is. He says, if you hear it from the bartender, it's probably too late. And so many people are on the fulfilled by Amazon train and the cryptocurrency train, and all these silly ways of making money. And I'm not saying they weren't great at one point. They really were. I first heard about Bitcoin in 2009 or 10, somewhere in there. And if you ask me if I have regrets that I didn't put some money there, 100% I do. And I'm not a backer of crypto. Those of you who know me, I personally don't believe it's sustainable. You don't have to hate me for believing that. You don't have to want to argue with me. Like, I'm not going to try to convince you. Like, if you like it, great. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm like, cool. That's one more thing I'm wrong about. Let me add it to my list. That's like longer than the road to between Edmonton and Calgary. I mean, fucking, the list of things I've been wrong about in my life is huge. So, I mean, if I'm wrong about that, I'll be okay. You don't need to fucking try to convince me. I'm not emotionally invested in it. But yeah, like when you hear about these things that like, and I did my first drop ship business. I was like 19 years old on eBay. And like I did all that stuff like 20 years ago, or like, I've tried a lot of the stuff that people now think are new, right? And it wasn't new when I did it. Like it's like, people were doing drop shipping and classified ads in newspapers back in the day before the internet was big. Like there's like, it's not a new concept. And so a lot of times people are getting caught up in these things and they're like, oh, it's not new. And your margins are either really small, and the risk of versus reward is not there. And it's constantly you trading your time for money. Like, you have to evaluate, if you want to create this freedom, am I going to create something where I can take my hands off it one day and get the freedom? And a lot of times people think, well, I will, if I do it. Like, here's my skill set. I'm a contractor in the construction business. Like, this is a big area, right? Like, I can just hire crews or a cleaning company. I'm going to go start a cleaning company, and I'm going to have all these cleaners, and they're going to go do these houses, whether it be new construction builds or just everyday people's houses. And I'll be good. I'll have my time back. Well, and your phone won't stop ringing because the person didn't do a good job, and this person stole, and this person broke something, and this person called in sick, and now you got to show up because they didn't call in sick. Like, you have to understand. Well, I'll just build it, and I'll get managers on top of managers on top of managers, so then they get to deal with it, and I get freedom. Absolutely, you can do that. It's going to take you 20 years, 10 if you're lucky, and it's going to be 10 or 20 years of you investing 80, 90 hours a week to build that dream, to build that empire. And at the same time, guess what you're going to do? You're building it because you want to have that freedom. You want to have that time with your kids, that time with your spouse. You want to create that freedom. You want to create that success. And guess what you did in that 10 or 20 years? You fucking lit that shit on fire and you watched it burn. And then once you get your success, you created your success, you have that success, you are so broke, all you have is money. Does that make sense to you? Because everything you were doing it for went away. Because all you did was focus on that. And then you'll get in fights with your spouse. And can't you see I'm doing this for you? I'm trying to build us a future. I'm trying to get to all these things. Well, guess what? Your wife didn't marry a bank machine, or your husband didn't marry a bank machine if you're a woman going and doing it. Your spouse didn't marry a bank machine. And your kids don't want a parent, a husband, or a dad, or a mom that's a bank machine. They don't want someone that just provides the money. They want someone who's there. They want someone who cares, that wants to know what they did in a day, who's not too tired when they come home to understand those things. So yeah, you can build your dream doing that. Understand, I'm like 95%. Most people will light everything they care about in life on fire, building that business. There are ways around it, and there are outliers. But do you want to take the gamble on that? Even if it were a 50-50 shot, would you really flip the coin and risk all those things to create that success? 50-50 shot. I can create the success and have all the things that matter to me, or I'm going to create the success and I'm going to screw up everything that matters to me. I'm not willing to do that. That's why I say this to people all the time. If you ask me, you can make $1 million a year. You got to work 60 hours a week or 70 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. Or you can have $200,000 a year and you never have to show up for it. The money just comes in. Which one do you want? If I can give me the 200 grand, give me it. Because again, it's like the penny a day versus $1 million. Which one would you want? Well, you can do all kinds of incredible things with $200,000 when you have control of time. You can be smart with your money and create even more significant financial results than that $1 million a year, because you have control of time. So understand that time is the most important thing. So what business you're going to build, I think everyone needs to stop and stop saying, oh, I have to be passionate about it. It has to be in the field I know. I have a construction background, so I got to build a construction business. Blah, 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 blah. Nope, you don't need to do that. And I don't know anything about the internet, so I guess I just can't do it. Okay, like I met some guys at the shooting range a few weeks ago. Both of them had very successful careers. One of them was super, he's like, I don't know what else to do. I'm super tired. I'm like, it's easy to build business online, because he said, I want to own a business, like, because I'm sick and tired of being an employee. But he's like, I'm like, well, it's easy to build stuff online now. Stuff like that. He's like, yeah, but I don't understand any of that stuff. So I'm like, so you're just going to complain about your job the rest of your life? He's like, he kind of laughed, right? And he's like, I guess you're right. I'm like, yeah. And I kind of looked at him and we kind of moved on in the conversation. And I actually said that to him because I'm that way. I'm just like, I'm going to call someone out on their shit when they're doing it. So understand that like you don't have to pursue something in an area you're comfortable. That's just so many people that, well, I'm comfortable in this area, so I want to create the results in this area. Okay. Well, do you know anyone that's created success in that area that you want? Like the by definition of success, the definition that you want. And when the answer is probably no, then okay, so what makes you think you're going to be able to do it? Like take a look 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you down the path you're going. Do you want the results they want? Marriage-wise, financial-wise, all those other things. If the answer is no, then don't do it. If the answer is yes, then go do it. Like, just go take the leap. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have experience in that arena. What are you waiting for? Get over the fear factor and just go for it, right? Go for it. I don't have the money. Well, go back to your budget, financial budget. Be smart with your money. Lower your cost of living. Reduce your means. Stop buying shit you don't need to impress people you don't like. A friend of mine said something once, status, right? Still too arrogant to understand success. I thought that was brilliant. I love the way that is, because people that have status, that's it. They're too arrogant to understand success. True success has nothing to do with status and looking good and caring what people think about you. So if you have that skill set, go for it. And if you don't, if you're just trying to figure it out, like you have to understand that the biggest key is you should find people that have success in the area you want. right? Find people to say, like, if you don't care about, like, if you're a single person, you don't care about being married one day, it's not a value of yours, you don't want to be married, you don't ever want to have kids, you just want to make as much money as you can and work as much as you can, well, then go fucking nuts. Go for it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to wrap it up with this stuff. There's many simple ways of making money. Once you get your financial budget in place, your time budget, you've developed people skills, you've gotten out of your comfort zone, you start having conversations. Well, how do I do that, Brandon? Well, I don't know. Spend some time outside. You go to stores instead of buying everything on Amazon. Go say hello to some strangers, and they'll think you're crazy. They will. A lot of people think I'm crazy, and I'm okay with it. But you go out and you start conversations, practice having conversations, and don't do it with salespeople that have to talk to you. That's easy. Go talk to people that don't have to talk to you. When you're at a place and the person's clearly a little bit grumpy, try to make them laugh. That's a great skill to develop. If you can make people laugh, like, people like people that make them laugh. Let me tell you, the biggest key of networking and building relationships is people love to talk about themselves. Everybody. Me, you, everybody love to talk about themselves. Ask people questions. If you make people feel good, they'll remember how you make them feel. People won't remember you, but they'll remember how you make them feel. And asking people questions about themselves, and then especially if you actually care, you should genuinely listen, because then when you see them again and talk to them again, and they shared something with you about, like, maybe they were going on a trip in 2 months, and you see them like 4 or 5 months later, say, hey man, how was your trip to Europe? They're like, oh yeah, oh no, it was awesome. And they're like, I can't believe you remember that. And it's like, boom, yeah, you have this super connection right there. They like you. That's called people skills. Develop people skills. Now, so you have your financial budget under control, you have your time budget under control, you're working on developing your people skills, you're getting good in that area. Now it's a simple application. You understand now, when you have a budget in place, you have some extra money, even a little bit. Let's say you have $50. You can buy something for $50 and sell it for $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. You can buy things on Kijiji, Marketplace, clean them up. I don't even care if you have mechanical aptitude of fixing things or anything like that. You can clean things up. You can get free items if you have no money. As long as you have your budget under control, you can get free items. Someone's like, just come take this for me, please. Come take this for me. Get it out of my... But someone's like, well, I don't have a truck. I can't do stuff like that. Carry it on the bus. I don't really care. Like don't get big items, but get something else. Like, I don't care. Take a table on the bus. No big deal. You're allowed to do that. And then you keep getting these things. You sell, you flip them, you sell them. I'm not telling you this is how you should do it. I'm just telling this is actually a dumb way to do it. But if this is your only option, it's better than what you have. I'm not saying start a business this way. There are way better ways. But this is just a simple example. Then everything you sell, every profit you make, you reinvest it. Don't fucking spend it. Don't steal from yourself. That's why I said financial budget for your personal finances is so important. You take that money and you reinvest it. You buy something else. You buy something else. I'm telling you, inside, you could start with your first free item. And you have to do this multiple times. You can start with your first free. This is where you spend your extra time, your time budget when you're not working. And inside of 6 months, on the low end, you would have $2,000-$3,000. On the high end, if you're good and you're a hustler, you could have well over 10K. You could have $10,000 plus dollars. You could take that money and start any business, right? No, not any business, but you could take that, you could invest all of that into a business. And how much money have you invested in it? $0, because you started with zero. You have to understand, people need to realize that this money is like chips at a casino, or checks. Checks would be the appropriate term. I'll use chips because most people understand that. This is like casino chips. They don't mean anything until you cash them in. Like, it's a psychology thing. So if you were playing craps at the casino and you put $100 on the table and you ran that $100 all the way up to $20,000 and boom, you lost it all in one hand. How much money did you lose? $100. You didn't lose $20,000. Shut up. You lost $100. If you say, no, I lost 20, that's broke mindset. That you never had that money. It was never real. If you cashed it out, walked out, came back the next day and lost all that 20 grand, you lost $20,000. But it wasn't yours until you took it, right? That's a discipline thing. And it's the same concept here, is that all of a sudden, if you have an issue with fear of risk, well, then take 6 months or a year and build up a fund based on $0 or based on an initial investment that you're comfortable with, whether it be $50 or $500, and figure out a way to develop. I'm not saying you have to flip tangible assets. You could do some Facebook marketing if that's a skill set you have. And that's an area I have a lot of experience in as well. A lot of marketing stuff. Generating information is power on the internet, right? Anyways, I'm not even going to get into that stuff. There's so many ways for you to make money. You have to be willing to take some of your time budget, invest and maybe develop a skill, but you can also do it without even taking that time and developing a skill, doing tangible assets, getting things for free or buying things at low items, not even sometimes cleaning them up and just selling them. There are auctions you can go to. There are government surplus warehouses. I tell you what, I'm going to give you a story. We buy a lot of our furniture for our offices at this government surplus warehouse in Edmonton. And I was there one time. There's this beautiful filing cabinet, just a 2-drawer, super wide one, heavy, probably 150 pounds, heavy. Like it was heavy duty, $20. I bought this thing, never been used. It's brand new, had the keys, everything. And the guy's telling me, he's like, yeah, it's crazy. He's like, this thing's $460 brand new. Because believe it or not, the Alberta government, just like the rest of the government, loves to just blow money. And these guys get pallets of stuff that's brand new that the government bought and never used. And you can't always get them. Sometimes they're reallocated in certain areas, but a lot of times you can buy this stuff. So I bought this filing cabinet and I threw it up online and I had it sold basically to 2 different people were willing to pay me $200. And I was going to sell it like right then, like when I was having the conversation, my controller at my office and my traditional business was like, well, I need that filing cabinet. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, well then keep it. Right. But I basically turned $20 into $200. You do the math. You don't understand that return? Well, it's only $200, Brandon. Oh, I didn't know you were rich. I'm sorry. Like, you go show me where you're going to get 10 times return on your money. Okay, I'll just wait for you, right? And like and you can do stuff like that. And then I could have taken that $200 and I could have bought something else. And I could have turned in. There's that story of the guy who turned a paperclip into a house, like a true story, right? Because he's traded up, and eventually led to a house. Right? You could do that. But the reason why people don't create results like this to give them the financial independence to start a business is because they don't have the discipline and they don't have the financial discipline, right? They end up spending the money. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here I'm just trying to give you guys concepts. I'm just trying to take away the excuses that you have that's saying, well, I don't have the money. Well, go make the money. Be entrepreneurial and make the money. Cut grass. If you live in I know that in Ontario, there's no deposit. You can't take bottles like water bottles and pop bottles and take them in and get 10 cents per or 25 cents for bigger ones. But in Alberta and other provinces, there's a deposit and you can take in bottles and get money. Well, I'm too good to pick bottles, man. I'm not going to go and pick bottles up. Do you understand that there are people that make literally like $100 or $200 a day picking bottles? It's pretty crazy. You talk about big time money. You make $5-6 grand a month picking bottles off the sides of roads and out of garbage cans. I'm not saying do that, but like, don't tell me you can't make money today. You're not hungry enough. You don't want it bad enough. There's all kinds of ways to make money. I don't agree with those. I'm not telling you should do that, but I'm just saying on the lowest common denominator, if you have excuses, it's a reason why you can't do something. Well, I think I've just eliminated them. But for me, like I said, our biggest goal was always in creating that control of time and money. And my wife and I are in hot pursuit of that. And we've created a lot of, I feel personal success in our life. And we're never going to be satisfied. We're always going to want more. We're going to want a lot of financial success and a lot of more personal success. Like a lot of we spent almost 6 months in the Dominican over the summer or over the winter, of 2021 and 2022. And that was a lot of that was because of the fact that we had created not just the financial means through 2 different businesses, but the mindset we created through that and living through our values and being able to do that where we wouldn't have been able to do that years ago. And so for us, we believe everybody should do that. And I believe that the reason I'm so passionate about people being entrepreneurs and starting their own business and creating results is because that takes our control back. That takes our freedom back. Is that when we all of a sudden control our own paycheck and someone said, well, they could shut your business down. Like, again, I'm going to get just for the last little bit to your 2 minutes. If you're listening to this and you're not, you think people that think this way are conspiracy theorists, I'll just go through this real quick. But if you believe that the government could come and take away all your, finances and asset and all this stuff and wipe your business out because you don't comply with certain things, great. And let's say that can happen. Let's say that might happen one day. And a lot of people use that as an excuse. Well, I'm just not going to do anything then. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to roll over and die. Okay, then roll over and die. But again, back to the shut the fuck up. Don't complain about the results you don't have for the work you haven't done. Same thing. Basically, it leans back to shut the fuck up. Like, you are responsible for creating. If you don't create the results that you say you want, then just shut up. Like, you can't complain. This is Canada, baby. This is the United States. Wherever you're listening to this, if you live in one of those two countries, this is countries founded on free enterprise. We were founded on it. We have the ability. We have the advantages to be able to go and create this. It is not the problem. You are the problem. Simple. You are the reason why you haven't created this. And sometimes it's a knowledge thing, and that's why I'm trying to give that to you. But don't make excuses. Like, the knowledge is there. And so if you think that the government can come and just like, well, there's no point doing it, or like, oh, but Brandon, what if I go create this successful company and then all of a sudden they just come and I can't do business anymore. Okay, cool, right? So that's why I'm a big believer of being out of debt. So if that day ever came, you were debt free, you owned millions of dollars of tangible assets. Well, Brandon, what if they tried to seize them? Well, come fucking try. At some point, you got to stand your ground. And I'm not even going to go into that path. But like, okay, so okay, well then, if you're going to keep, well, what if they do this? Well, what if they do this? Well, you might as well just go fucking end it. You might as well just go end your life. And I'm not trying to like. I won't feel bad if someone does, like, because they were weak enough. But I'm just saying, like, if you're what if, well, then just shut it all down. Just throw in the towel then. I'm sorry. Like I don't know what to tell you at that point. If you always say, well, what if they do this? Well, what if they do this? Well, what if they fucking don't? Like, why has everything got to be looked at in the negative? What if they let us live our lives? What if this is just a blip right now? We're going through some things. What if everything works out? And your life sucks, and all you did was spend, a decade plus complaining and trying to bring people the news and relive the fucking convoy because it's the anniversary. You guys are fucking hilarious. Anyways, what if you just kept doing that? And then, like, eventually, like, you ran out of things to complain about. Well, you wouldn't. You'd always find new things, and you'll end up becoming that crazy uncle in the family that, everyone has to worry about and take care of, that never created anything, or doesn't have a stable job and ruined everything in their life because they were in the pursuit of truth. Like you'll become that. I guarantee it. Fact. Like, come see me in 20 years. You will be. And so just get over that and just go about your life and get out of debt, own tangible assets, because then all of a sudden, well, what if they change from the cash system and they go to a digital cryptocurrency, a world currency? And like, well, guess what? Now you own all these items, all these tangible items you own free and clear. And let's say they go away from the monetary system, our fiat currency system we currently live off of. And, now you own tangible assets. Yeah, you own free and clear. You have no debt on. You can now sell that for whatever currency is the one they're using. And now you have money again because you were smart enough to own millions of dollars of tangible assets. Like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. And you have no debt. So even if your business was gone, you have millions of dollars of assets you can exchange for the current version of currency, and you can live off your land and everything else. And now you have currency because you've sold things, and you can also buy new things and whatever. And there goes your life, and you're back off to the races. Oh my God, what a concept. So anyways, the fear stuff's got to go. The fear of failure, the fear of not succeeding, the fear of government taking everything away from you, the fear of, oh, what if this, or what if this? Well, what if you just started taking action? What if you just started doing it? You have to understand that complaining and bringing awareness, there's no solution to that. This has been planned for years. You are not going to outsmart these people. What they want to happen is going to happen. But what they cannot control is what you do within your family. And you need to go, everything I've shared with you here, you can create the results you want to create. You absolutely can. And you might be like, well, you didn't give me, well, yeah, I'm not, it's like I don't have like lottery tickets to hand out. Here you go. Here's one for you. Here's one for you. Here's one for you. Here's a business for you. Here's a business for you. I'm not fucking Oprah Winfrey, like here, like that's not happening here today. Well, what I have done is given you a foundational information to how to successfully set yourself up. And then you have to do a little bit of the legwork, right? Start whatever you want, whether you want a traditional business, whether you want, whatever you want. But like, to me, I would encourage people to evaluate every opportunity with, does this give me my time? Am I going to exchange my time for money in the early phases? But over a period of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, am I going to start to get my time back? Or am I always going to have to trade my time for money and be a whore, be a slave to that business or that exchange? And if you want that, cool, right? I'm not saying you don't have to, but for me, I want to put in the time now and reap the rewards for the rest of my life. I want to create legacy type business income, change my whole family tree, invest my time so that I build assets that pay me for the rest of my life. And we figured out, like I said, how to do that by networking, making relationships with people, finding people that have created that success, and then convince them to teach us how to do it. It's very simple. And my wife and I have had conversations with many people, in person, one-on-one conversations. Again, like I said, I'm not judging people. I'm not judging them. I don't think they're bad people. I just think people are funny. I just think that, like, they convince themselves they have other ways of creating the results they want, and they don't. And they make other excuses as to why they can't create the results. And it is not my job to convince people that their life is worth fighting for. It is not my job to convince people that you probably don't have other ways to create the success. And I really wish you do. I hope you do. I wish you all the luck. I want everybody I've ever connected with, had a conversation with, to have all the success in the world. I really do. I want to have all my friends to be super successful. They don't have to do it through like knowing me. I don't really care. So anyways, at the risk of repeating myself, I hope you found value in this. I hope I added value. This was, other than the 3 bulletins I wrote: financial budget, time budget, and people skills. I prepared nothing else. This was all off the cuff. So I hope it wasn't too repetitious, or annoying, but I'm just going to post it. So if it sucked, I'm sorry, but I'm not going back and watching an hour and 11 minutes and 30-second long video to see if it was any good. I hope that added value. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. Absolutely. I mean, most of you are probably watching this. Follow me on Instagram. If you don't, that's the best way to probably get me. I don't have notifications on my Instagram. So I'll get to you when I get to you. But my Instagram handle is BRASMY. People say Brasmy or Brasmy. I don't know what the hell it is. It's the first 3 initials of my first 3 letters of my first name, first 3 letters of my last name, right? Brandon Smith, BRASMY. So if you want to reach out to me, I mean, by all means, reach out to me on there. If you want to follow me on there, I'm sorry, you're about to feel pain. All I do is yell at my phone all day long. Not all day long. I do videos maybe like once or twice a week nowadays, but just me yelling at my phone. So you may or may not want to follow me, but if you're into that kind of thing, great. But anyways, I hope I added value, and I really hope that everyone goes and creates their own version of success, whatever that is. I really, really, really want that. I want everybody to be an entrepreneur. I don't want anybody to do jobs, but it's everyone's choice. So anyways, I will wrap it there. I would like to say best of luck, but it ain't about luck. It's about a willingness, right? It's not about can or can't. It's will or won't.